Hey, Melissa here from the Strictly Sail Kayak fishing team, and today I'm talking about what you need to make that jump from being a kayak angler to being a kayak tournament bass angler. What are the things that you need that you don't need in regular kayak fishing, fun fishing, that you will need for a tournament? So I know a lot of people who say, I'd love to fish a tournament, but I don't think I'm ready. I know I personally waited almost 3 years from when I discovered the sport online till when I had the nerve to enter my first tournament. And I really regret it. I wish I could have those 3 years back of gaining experience. But I felt like I didn't have a good enough kayak. I didn't know how to throw a bait caster. I just didn't feel worthy of entering these tournaments. And I want to tell you, that was such a waste of time. Please enter the tournament, make the jump. So I'm going to go over the things that you absolutely have to enter a kayak bass fishing tournament, and then a couple things that aren't mandatory but make your experience a little more comfortable or a little more fun. So the first thing is the measuring board. It's Kegg, K-E-T-C-H, is the approved brand right now by KBF, which is Kayak Bass Fishing Rules Standard, and this is how we measure our fish in a tournament. You put the fish on the measuring board, take a picture of it. So for every tournament, you're gonna have an identifier, and the identifier allows the tournament judge to know that you took the picture that day and not like earlier and just used it for the tournament. Not that anyone would ever do that. So mine are actually ordered from Tin Tag because I fish so dang much, I wanted to stop printing them out. And it's kind of like a reusable dry erase system, or you can print a paper copy of the identifier, usually off your club's Facebook page or website, and those will go in something like this. It has an elastic band to hold it on the board. This is a fancier version of that. It has a bracket that fits over the board with a little holder for that, or you can really just kind of put it on there in a Ziploc baggie or anything like that. You don't need to be fancy. As long as it's not blocking the fish and it's in the photo, then you're good with it. You probably noticed that my catch board has a leash. That's because these are metal and they don't float. So you want to have something to clip it to the boat so you don't lose it. This is a Rogue fishing tether. They come in different sizes and different colors. I have everything on my boat leashed because I dropped so many pliers and scissors overboard before I did this. So here's a big one. You want to protect your phone when you're on the water. We're out there using our phone a lot in kayak bass tournaments. You have to take a picture of every fish, and if it's going well, you're taking a picture of a lot of fish. But what if you're holding it like this and the fish flips, the phone goes flying, you've lost your phone? That's an inconvenience for the tournament and life. So something like this Rogue fishing tether, it's got a little kind of a rubber thing that goes over your phone, and then it clips so it's safe. So a PFD, or personal flotation device, is mandatory in kayak bass fishing tournaments. This is mine, beat up, dirty Mustang inflatable. It's an HIT inflatable, which means it's hydrostatic. When it hits the water, the pressure of the water will deploy it, as opposed to just like pulling the tab and deploying it. And then some people prefer this style, the non-inflatable. Doesn't matter as long as it's a Coast Guard approved personal flotation device. You have to keep it on at all times while the vessel's underway, or you've got a line in the water. So you're going to need a flag and a 360-degree light, and you can take care of both of those with the Yak-A-Tech VisiCarbon Pro. It is a really nice flag light combo. Track mount goes right into the little T-slot, folds to fit in your trunk. So it actually ends here. I got an extension for it so that my flag's even taller because I just wanted to be a little more visible. So something I wouldn't want to do a tournament without is a good net. And what makes a good net? The first thing is this rubber mesh. You definitely want this rubber mesh because it's much, much better for the fish. It protects their slime coat and keeps them safe. The other important thing for me was this big capacity bucket thing here. So when I catch a fish, I get them off the hook and I put them in the net, and I put the net over my lap in the water, and I let the fish sit there in the water, in the net, safe and comfortable while I get everything ready. So it takes off a lot of the pressure. So my net is the Yak-A-Tech leverage landing net. The good thing about this in a kayak is it has this like ergonomic arm thing, so that when you're reaching down, from a seated position to get the bass, it's really good. It doesn't take a lot of strain. So then we have the obvious ones. You need your tackle. Doesn't matter what tackle it is, just bring whatever you're comfortable throwing. I found these to be really handy because they fit under my seat. It's my bag that has my soft plastics in it. So Doesn't matter though, I started off with Ziploc bags. Those work too, but I like this because I can reach under and pull the handle to get it out. But again, you don't have to have anything fancy. Whatever you use on your daily basis works for this. Trust me, it doesn't matter if you're an expert with the bait caster or brand new with the spinning reel. It's fun either way. I always carry a waterproof tournament emergency bag in my kayak, and it has a multi-tool, the cutest little first aid kit ever, a backup of the IDs, Sharpies to write the ID on, and a couple extra AA batteries in case my light goes out and I need it. And I always carry a couple extra cords and some hardware for my GoPros, and my fishing license and boat registration. So I have all the different states' fishing licenses and my boat registrations in here, all in this waterproof bag in my kayak. It doesn't matter what kind of kayak you have. We have people that go from the most inexpensive paddle kayaks up to the fanciest pedal kayaks you can imagine. Some people have motors, some people have like 2 or 3 screens with live scope and all that stuff, but it just doesn't matter. I started in a 10-foot sit-in paddle kayak and I fished out of that for a year and a half. It was fine. Just get started, go from there, get the experience. It's so much fun. So that pretty much covers the absolute required things to enter your first kayak bass fishing tournament. Oh, I forgot the whistle. So I have these just attached to my life jacket, so you can whistle if a boat's coming at you and they don't see you, or you can whistle if you're in the water and you're in trouble, so whistle. Okay, now for a few things that aren't mandatory. If you don't have them, don't worry about it, but I feel like they make my life a lot better when I'm out on the water. Number one might be the kayak cushion. So this is just a really nice pad to sit on. I actually have one to sit on and one for the back of my seat, so makes it squishier and more comfortable. So the more comfortable you are, the more time you spend on the water. So a fish finder is completely not mandatory for a tournament. I fished for about a year and a half without a fish finder, and then another year and a half with my first one, having no idea what I'm supposed to be doing with it, but it definitely helps you. So if you decide you want a fish finder, you need to get the fish finder and a battery. Or if you decide to film, I power my front and back GoPros with my batteries in my Yak Power box. So something that really comes in handy for me is some sort of lip gripper situation. This is an old Berkeley scale that doesn't work anymore, but I just use it as a lip gripper. It's great for if you catch a catfish or a toothy thing like a sawguy or a muskie or a pike, or if they, when I crankbait fish and they get the hook right here, where do you put your thumb? The hook's right there. Lip gripper. So something that really helps me out is this RAM phone mount. So I use Navionics, the mapping app on my phone, so I would really like to have this in my kayak, up and facing me. So not mandatory, but really makes my life easier in the kayak. So a couple more little things that I just really love. Again, totally not necessary, but really do make my day more organized and more fun. I love these Yak Attack cups. I usually put 2 of them on my kayak. They just go right in the T-track. I use one for baits that are upcoming and discarded lures, and I use the other one for a cup, sometimes a muffin. I just discovered these this year. These are horizontal rod holders. You put them on the side of the boat, and then your rods can go sideways off the side of the boat instead of sticking up and down behind you. That way you can go under trees and stuff and they don't hit the trees. You can also put a paddle in there too. There's a bungee cord to hold them in securely. I love these things. So those are all the things that you have to gather up physically to have for your first tournament, but there's a couple things that you have to do to be ready also. The first thing is on your iPhone or Android, you have to turn the location services on. It is mandatory that the tournament judge can see where that picture was taken to make sure it's within the tournament boundaries. Another thing is understanding what the tournament boundaries are. For that, you're going to read your club's event-specific rules. They'll have things like, when are you allowed to launch? When's lines in? When's lines out? When is the deadline to submit your pictures? And when and where is the measure in, so you can meet with your fellow competitors, get to know them, and have a little social time. So all those things you find out from your club's event-specific rules page. You also need to know the KBF rule standards. That's the Kayak Bass Fishing. It's kind of like a national organization that has created a rule book that most clubs follow. Sometimes your club will vary a little bit, but read the KBF rule standards and know those rules before your first tournament. Before the tournament, you're going to want to create an account either with the TourneyX app or the Fishing Chaos app, whichever one your club is using for that tournament. They're both the same sort of thing. They're the apps you use to submit your picture, that the judges look at, and that compares you to find the winner of the tournament. But make your account before the tournament, play around with it, get familiar with the app so that you're not all confused out on the water, and make sure you know your password in case you got logged out. Personal experience there. So I think that about covers it. That's everything you need to gather up and everything you need to do to get ready for your first kayak bass fishing tournament. If there's anything that's unclear, feel free to reach out to me on my Girl Gone Fishing YouTube channel or contact your tournament director. The contact information is usually on the group Facebook page or on the Tourney X event page. And kayak anglers as a whole are just nice people, just darn nice, helpful people. So ask someone. You know, if you have a question about if you're doing something right, ask someone. Everyone's nice. Everyone will be willing to help. So I hope this helps you get into your first tournament. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys out on the water on the next one.